Hello, guys, welcome back to my show, Get Real with Jasmine. Before we start today's topic, allow me to remind you that you can listen to this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. So just pick whatever you like. Alright, so how is everybody doing? Seriously, how are you guys? I feel like I haven't really talked to you guys for a while. And today's episode is probably one of the most personal and vulnerable one that I ever made. I woke up in the middle of the night and I just can't stop thinking about loneliness. And then I started to write this episode. So, yeah, let's talk about loneliness today. I grew up feeling pretty lonely, and I talked about this before. I always feel lonely, even though I have great friends, I have very supportive family. But growing up, I just don't feel fit in. And I talked about this before. Now I can see that not fitting in as a gift, as a blessing. But that doesn't mean I don't feel lonely. I still feel lonely because it just seems like I always have this crazy big dreams or passion for life that I don't feel like people around me can relate to. So naturally I become pretty closed off, and I think that's also the reason why I started to journal since I was 12, because I had so many thoughts and emotions in me that I just don't know who I can talk to. And that's why I became this little girl stuck in a room and writing everything on her journal. And that became the perfect outlet for me. But I think also because of this, don't feel the need to talk to people anymore, to connect to people. I've been through a period of life that I literally don't have one friend. I have nobody to talk to on the phone. I have nobody to hang out with. And that's also the period that I was struggling the most mentally, because I really don't know who I can talk to. And I think this is also something very important that I want to bring up with today, which I will talk about later. So then because of this, I naturally become so independent and I learned to do everything on my own. I moved to Australia on my own, and most of my friends do not know about this until I probably moved there after a year. But then when I moved to Australia, I thought it's going to solve all my problems. I really just thought like this would be such an exciting, beautiful journey, and I never had to look back again. But the thing is, it doesn't matter where I moved. I still feel so lonely. I also was very, very lonely when I first moved to Australia. And that's when I realized maybe I was the one that's creating my own loneliness. To a certain level, I do think we can create our own loneliness. For a long time in my life, I was constantly reminding myself how lonely I am. And that's all I wrote about on my journal. Every day I wake up, I feel so lonely. Every day before I go to bed, I feel so lonely. And it went too far to the point that I feel like a victim. I just don't know why I feel this lonely. And I just keep reminding myself. But that was me creating my own loneliness. I was creating my own misery. And this is a thing that I see a lot on people who grow up feeling like they don't connect to people or they feel like they don't fit in. But this is a very, very dangerous place to be at, because at that point, it's not the world around you that is making you feel lonely. You are the one that is making yourself lonely. And the result of that is you closed your heart to the world. You became so closed off, and of course, you will feel lonely. And that was me for probably 4 or 5 years. Seriously, for 4 or 5 years, I did not make one single friend. Because when you keep reminding yourself how lonely you are, that's a reality you will create. You are actually creating your own loneliness. You are manifesting your own loneliness. Because that's the thing. When I keep telling myself how lonely I am, whenever I approach people, I already have this assumption in my head that they're not going to understand me. I'm not going to connect with them. So when I'm actually out with them at dinner or hang out with them, whatever, I wasn't even listening to them. I wasn't paying attention to the conversation at all. I was so self conscious. I was so stuck in my head, thinking about my own problems, thinking about my own loneliness. And the result of that is I don't really know what's going on with their lives, let alone connecting to them. And in my head, their problems are not problems. Their problems are just easy solved. My problem is big. So when I went home, in my head I would be like, wow, how come everybody's problem is so easy to solve? Only my problem is so hard. Hence I feel more lonely. I was perpetuating my own loneliness. And if there's anything that I've learned in the past few years is that everybody is struggling something in their lives right now. And it doesn't matter what that problem is. There's no such thing as your problem is bigger than my problem. This is not a competition. Everybody will have their own problems and it's serious to them and it's hard to solve for them. And I think by understanding that, it really makes me feel way less lonely because I suddenly feel like I'm not struggling alone. Everybody else is struggling too. But I have to talk about why I actually decided to change and to listen to people. So, after I moved to Australia, I read this book called The Untethered Soul, which is still by far my favorite book of all time. You guys really need to check that out. I read that book so many times, and every time I read it, I just gained something from it. So, I read this book, and in this book, it just basically makes me realize how I actually closed my heart to the world and I built this wall to protect myself from the world. Because let's be honest, when you grow up feeling like you don't belong or you don't connect to people, it hurts. It genuinely hurts. And that's just naturally how you want to build a wall to protect yourself. But then I saw that I was actually blocking my chance to feel happy and to feel connected with people. And I always just have this fire in me that whenever I know that I'm not doing something out of fear, I'm like, I'm not a coward. I'll fucking do it. So that's when I decided that I wanted to give this a try. I don't want to close my heart anymore. I want to feel things. And that's when I finally decided to stop locking myself in my room and started to having conversation with people. And that's when I started to make friends and have genuine connection with people. And that's when I finally started to listen what my friends are actually talking about. And I found out that, wow, these people, she seems so happy, but actually she is also struggling sometimes. She also feel lost about her future sometimes. And that's something that I didn't understand before because I wasn't paying attention. And in my head, I just feel like, why do people all seem so happy? They all seem like they have it all figured out. But the more I'm paying attention to the conversation, the more I found out that no, they do not have it all figured out. I just wasn't paying attention and I wasn't really asking, how are you? What's going on with your life? And that's why I started today's podcast by really asking, how are you guys doing? Because I genuinely want to know. And I really do think this level of connection is what makes us less lonely. It's not really about finding your soulmate. It's not about finding the love of your life. It's really about the small things we have in common because yes, we are very special. We are so different as human, but we are also very similar in some way. We all have bad days at work. We all feel sad sometimes. We all get lost about future. We all get scared about something, about uncertainty. We all crave to belong somewhere. And I really do even now believe that if you just sit down and talk to someone and genuinely paying attention to what they're talking about, you will see that you guys are not so different. But you think this is a happy ever after? No, this is not. So after Australia, after I started to make friends, these people that I met in Australia literally became my family. And I think that was also the first time in my life that I think I'm actually making genuine and real connection with people. And I was happy. I was happy. And for the first time in my life, I don't feel alone anymore. I still feel lonely, yes, but just like everyone else do. I still feel lonely sometimes, but my loneliness is not screaming at me anymore. I don't feel alone anymore. And so it hit really, really hard when I had to leave them. And yeah, so when I had to leave Australia because the government doesn't like Asian anymore. Okay, I just ruined the story, but maybe that's true. Or maybe I'm joking. I don't know. But yeah, when I had to leave Australia, it hit really, really hard because it does feel like the life that I have built over the years just disappeared. And yeah, so right now I'm back being alone again in Dubai. And that's the next chapter of the story. Let's keep going. When I first moved to Dubai, which is a few months, I don't know, probably almost a year ago, I thought it's going to be easy. Because in my head, I'm like, this is not my first time moving country, you know? This is gonna be so easy because I've done this once. I'm gonna do it the second time. So I thought it would be easy. I still feel nervous. I still feel a bit anxious sometimes, yeah, but it doesn't really bother me in the beginning. Before I came here, I mean. But I was so wrong. I couldn't be more wrong. If any, I feel like it was harder than when I first moved to Australia. And I thought it's going to be easy because, first of all, I wasn't that introverted girl anymore. I'm really good with people right now. I'm not scared of people, and I'm great at communicating. And my financial status is also way better before I compared to when I first moved to Australia. So I thought it would be way better, way easier. But I was so wrong. So the first day I arrived here, I actually started to make friends since day one. And in my head, I'm like, God, I'm so good right now. Because the first day I moved to Australia, I couldn't talk to people. I eat my dinner in my bed because I was just so scared to go outside. So in my head, when I was in Dubai, I'm like, whoa, I'm on fire. I'm so good with people right now. I make friends easily. And that was true. The first month I arrived here, I made so many friends. Seriously. But then I came to realize that these people are not good people. Some are scammers, some are liars, some tried to take advantage of me, some actually did take advantage of me. And at some point it went so bad that I decided to cut them off completely. And I blocked every single person and I walked away and I never looked back. And that was the first time that I actually got so surprised that people can have such a malicious intentions. People can approach you with like terrible intentions in their head. And I never got so scared of people my whole life. And that was the first lesson I've learned in Dubai. Be kind to people, but don't trust people easily. So that entire traumatizing experience literally made me realize how lucky I was back in Australia to be able to meet people that are genuine with me and are just want to hang out with me. That was so rare and I didn't realize that. I didn't really think that it would be that hard to meet kind people in your life. But apparently it's very hard in Dubai, and this is not just coming from me. Probably everyone I met here say the same thing. It's very hard to meet people, genuinely kind people and like real friends in Dubai. And this is another lesson that I want to share today. Don't take these people that care about you, that are kind to you, that just want to hang out with you for granted. Don't take these people for granted because you might think this is nothing special. This is your everyday life right now, but this is actually very rare and it could be a privilege to someone. Someone right now, they do not have these people in their life, whether it's your friends, whether it's a loved one, whether it's your family. Some people really don't have that. And I know you feel lonely, and I know that you probably don't feel connected to them. But just don't take them for granted, because you never know when these people are not going to be your life anymore. Because that's the thing about life. You never know. Maybe one day, like me, you move to another country, or your friends move to another country, or your friends started their own family. Naturally, you guys will be distant. And I think this is the reason why I cried so hard when I was writing this episode, because I do wish that I was more appreciative when I had these people physically around me. And so, yeah, don't wait until these people are not with you anymore for you to realize you're actually not that alone. Actually, the entire time they're there for you, but you're just so stuck in your own head that you couldn't see that these people are secretly waiting there for you and cheering for you, and they're just always there for you. So seriously, like, don't wait until then. Start really, just open your eyes right now. Have a look around. Who are there with you? Not just physically, but remotely. Because I guarantee you that if you just have a conversation with them, you will find something that you guys have in common. Because like I said, we human beings, we are not that different. And these small things that we have in common will make you feel way less lonely. And if you really cannot find someone in your life right now, I'm telling you that I'm with you and you are not alone in this. And I feel like by me sitting here and talking about my loneliness can actually make you feel way less lonely, because somebody understands what you're feeling right now and you're not struggling alone. I am struggling with you. Someone else that's watching this video is struggling with you. We are not alone in this. We are all together in this. And to be honest, I think this episode kind of took a turn. I wasn't really expecting this when I was writing this episode, because I thought I was just gonna sit here and just cry about my loneliness, but it kind of feels very hopeful right now and I love it. And so, yeah, back to my life in Dubai right now. I spend most of my time alone in Dubai right now. And of course, it had a lot to do with my experience when I first got here. I seriously lost the drive to make friends. But I think the most important thing is I don't feel lonely when I'm alone anymore. I still feel lonely sometimes, yes, that's true. But most of the time, I'm not lonely. I am very busy, and I'm busy enjoying my life, doing things that I love and talking to the universe. Most of the days I don't feel lonely. But I think the most important thing is I don't keep focusing on my loneliness anymore. I'm not fixated on that ideas. And I think that's probably the most important message of today is stop focusing on your loneliness, because by keep focusing on that, you're giving that emotions more power, and you became the one that is amplifying your own loneliness. Just don't do that to yourself. And I know a lot of people are probably wondering or will come to me and tell me that, Jasmine, it's not healthy to be alone all the time. You need to make some friends. You need to get out there and make some friends. Well, first of all, screw you. Don't tell me what to do. And okay, I'm just kidding. I do think that's correct. I don't think it's healthy for people to be like completely alone, especially for people that are struggling mentally. If I do not recommend that. So I do not recommend the way I live right now to anyone. But I think for the first time in my life that I actually start enjoying my own company. I start really, really enjoying being alone instead of constantly feeling the need to talk to someone, to connect to someone. I feel really, really self-sufficient. Spending almost a year in solitude, which is crazy to think about this. Like the past year, I didn't really have human beings in my life. But being in solitude for almost a year, I became my own best friend. And for the first time in my life, I actually enjoyed my own company. because I did not enjoy that before. I hate myself before. And I think that's also a very, very important thing to understand, because I talked about this before, but instead of keep wondering why people don't hang out with you, look into the mirror and see if you actually want to hang out with yourself, because that should be the most important thing. Because the thing is, we grow up and we are really being programmed into wanting others' attention, wanting others' validations, wanting others' approval. But how do you actually feel about yourself? Do you like yourself? Because yes, when you shape yourself into other people's likings, you might feel less lonely, maybe because you get to hang out with them. But I would rather be alone than lose myself. I lost myself once, and I'm not going to do that to myself again. And I want to be very clear that I don't think this is a either or. I don't think you have to choose between friends and yourself. I do think that you can be with people that you love and actually still be yourself without losing yourself. Of course you can. And you probably have those people in your life already. It's not an either or, but it takes time to find true connection. You know, my closest friend in my life right now, I've known her for more than 15 years right now. So it takes time. It's not going to, you're not just going to connect with somebody over a cup of coffee. Like, I can easily go to somewhere else and to make 10 friends right now, but I'm not interested in hanging out with people just for the sake of not being alone. Like, that's also another important message for today. Vibe alone until you find someone that you actually vibe with. Don't waste your energy, don't waste your time on people that you don't feel connect with, or people that don't even deserve it. And it is a misconception thinking that we always need a friends around us, or even like there's definitely something wrong with you if you cannot make friends. No, there's nothing wrong with you. And it takes courage and strength to be alone, because it's not easy. Because most people hang out with people because they don't know how to deal with themselves. They don't know how to be alone. There are so many noises inside them, and they had to hang out with people in order to cover that up. So it takes a lot of courage and strength to be alone. And if you're doing that, I am proud of you, and you should be proud of yourself too. So yeah, I think I'm going to end this episode here. And to be honest, I did not expect this episode to end like this. It's kind of positive. I really did not see that coming, because it was supposed to be a sad message, but I love how positive and hopeful it can be in our own loneliness. And I just genuinely think that you are not alone in this, even though when you feel like you are, there are tons of people that are struggling like you right now. And don't just lock yourself in your room. Don't close your heart. There are genuinely beautiful people out there. You just haven't met them yet. And I hope that you guys learned something from today's episode. But most importantly, I hope that you feel better about yourself and feel better about where you are in life right now. You are an incredible, incredible human being. And I love you guys so much with my heart and soul. And yeah, I will see you guys very, very soon in the next video. Bye now!